So folks, thanks for joining us today on Leadership Log, which is a podcast on topics of interest for the Air Force Lifecycle Management Center community. And a topic of interest today is learning about some of the organizations out at Hill Air Force Base that support AFLCMC's mission. And the unique thing in this instance is LCMC, of course, is headquartered at Wright Pat, all right? But we have a directorate, which is the ammunition or the munitions directorate that is at Eglin Air Force Base. And you guys belong to that directorate, but you're at Hill Air Force Base, all right? And so it just kind of shows the widespread nature of AFLCMC and kind of the many things that we do. So we want to learn about your jobs today, but first we want to meet you individually. So let's start with Sergeant Bench. If you could introduce yourself and give a little bit of your career background.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Bench. Been in for just shy of 13 years. This is only my second base. I spent a vast majority of my career up at Minot Air Force Base working with the B-52. While up there, I've worked a handful of different shops. I've worked from conventional maintenance, building the bombs. Then I worked munitions inspection, inspecting all the components, and then munitions control, directing all the movements and day-to-day operations of all munitions. And lastly, before I moved down here to Hill Air Force Base, I was the unit deployment manager up there.
Okay. And Staff Sergeant Sansone.
Hello, my name is Sergeant Sansone. I've been in the Air Force now for 6 years. And prior to being here at Hill Air Force Base in the TICMS cell, I was at Nellis Air Force Base down in Las Vegas, Nevada. While I was down there, I spent some time in conventional maintenance, like Sergeant Bench said, building bombs. And then I became an inspector, which is basically inspecting all of the serviceability of our munitions and our stockpile at that base, and then moved on to working PGM, which deals with all of the missiles in our stockpile.
Okay. Staff Sergeant or Tech Sergeant Shelly, excuse me.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Shelly. I've been in for 8 years now, and prior to being stationed at Hill, I was at Cannon for about 5 years. I worked in munitions accountability and ensured that we didn't lose any munitions and that everything was being inventoried accordingly.
Okay. And Tech Sergeant Salinas.
Hi, I'm Sergeant Salinas. I've been in for 13 years. I have traveled extensively, so I worked at Eglin Air Force Base, then traveled to Kunsan, Korea, Aviano, Italy, Holloman Air Force Base in Mexico, and now I'm at Hill Air Force Base. During that time, I've been deployed multiple times. I've worked darn near every shop from storage to munitions ops, munitions control, conventional, munitions inspection, trailer maintenance, line delivery, pretty much everything. Originally from Florida, so yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
All right, so let's learn a little bit about your jobs. Now we've got two of you are with one program, the other two are with the other program. So we're going to talk about TICMS to begin with. So Sergeant Shelly, could you explain to us what TICMS is and what it does?
Yes, TICMS is an acronym for Theater Integrated Combat Munitions System. And it's a relatively new accountability system. It's only been online for about 2.5 years, 2 years. And it replaced our old accountable property system of record. What a lot of people don't know is how scrutinized munitions inventory and serviceability actually is. And it makes sense because you don't want horrific things to happen if you're not maintaining munitions properly. And the steps required to do that within this vast system actually get tested by approximately 6 full-time ammo troops, and then the other 5 are TICMS triage team, which I'm a part of. We do all of the customer support and service from the career field, which has approximately 12,000 users. So okay. It's a lot. I work with Sergeant Sansone and the rest of the team. We're constantly collaborating together with the program managers for the system, and then software developers, and then even further on to the actual vendor for the program itself.
Okay, so this is a massive database that tracks all of the Air Force munitions. So like what kind of munitions? Are we talking like small arms ammo, bombs, or what kind of thing?
So TICMS is in charge of accounting for everything from a single round of 5.56 all the way up to built up rounds of missiles or bombs.
Okay. All right. And so thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces, I would imagine, right?
Yes, it's everything that has any type of bang or boom has to go in there. And a lot of it that some people don't even realize is egress for aircraft. So if a pilot's going down and they have to be ejected, that is a munitions item that we have to account for and make sure that it's serviceable and inspect appropriately. There's a wide variety of things. Honor Guard, when they're doing their drill and everything like that, we provide them with what they need. All of the deployment readiness, making sure that people are qualified on their small arms ammunition, we ensure, and then flight line training, whatever pilots need to be trained on, those built up munitions are in there.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I can imagine you're tracking like the age of the item, how frequently it's inspected, because I mean, you don't want bullets to hang around forever. They might get old, they get past their use by date, and then the day that you have to shoot it, the powder has lost its drive. Is that correct? Or
Yes, so TICMS incorporates all of that inspection history for 226 field units, right? And as you said, we want to know this for the entire Air Force stockpile. So all $32 billion that the Air Force maintains, we need to know where it is, if it's serviceable or if it is not, right? And then when it was last inspected and where it's going next. And TICMS incorporates all of that in one easy to use system that gives MAJCOMs or strategic level users the ability to view where their assets are.
yeah. And then that means that the Air Force planners are sort of like operational planners. If they're gonna send a unit in to do a mission in a certain area, they know that they've got serviceable equipment to go with them, that it's going to work exactly as it was intended to do.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. All right. So this is important stuff. I mean, it's important. And if you didn't know this in this database, you could have real problems.
Yes, and it's very important. And so the developers for this system, they've never worked munitions. So they know how to catalog things in accordance with like Amazon's warehousing or Walmart's warehousing, but munitions are treated completely differently. And as they implement different practices, sometimes they miss things that are extremely vital that could cause potential harm later on down the line. So we're kind of in the chain of safeguarding and preventing that from happening.
Mm-hmm. And so that's why you have subject matter experts. You guys are experienced ammo troops. You understand this stuff. You understand what the field units need and what needs to be known about the items. And so that's what your job is here for Air Force Lifecycle Management Center.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. So that gives a little bit of understanding, kind of the thumbnail sketch of TICMS. Let's learn about stamps then. So stamps, let's say Sergeant Salinas, give us an overview of what stamps is and kind of how that relates to TICMS a little bit.
Okay, so STAMP is yet another acronym. It stands for Standard Air Munitions Package. And basically, STAMP provides a capability to the combat commanders in order to rapidly deploy munitions to their theater via airlift channels.
Okay. So this is a means of shipping, actually shipping using TICMS to track it, but you're shipping it with stamps. Is that correct?
So everything in TICMS is tracked, obviously. And once the combat commanders identify what assets they require, the unit here at Hill, more than likely the 649th Munitions Squadron, will be tasked to prep those munitions. So they'll do everything from moving the assets from one structure to another, which is tracked in TICMS, to inspecting the assets, again, tracking TICMS, to making sure the serviceability, the shelf and service life are good to go. And all that is cataloged in TICMS. And then the actual shipment from Hill Air Force Base to wherever it needs to go is then once again all completed through TICMS.
Okay. So you guys actually, do do you have the items like at Hill and you package them and ship them out? Or in some instances, do you have them shipped from like one location to another location?
So we have initial stockpile here at Hill Air Force Base dedicated to the stamp mission. That being said, once that is depleted, there are plans in place to restock and then continue to ship more assets.
Okay. And what kind of items are we talking? Is it like everything from 5.56 ammo all the way up to large aircraft bombs?
It could be anything. It could be as small as 5.56, or it could be anything from bombs, missiles, bomb components. It's items that have been identified by MAJCOMs. Typically, what we like to say is it's low availability, high demand assets that we can get to specific locations in a rapid time frame.
Okay.
So you got to think of STAMP as more of a capability than anything.
Okay. All right. And so a unit is going to deploy someplace. You're going to make sure that when they get there, they've got the stuff that they need in order to do their job.
Typically, that stuff's planned ahead of time. STAMP is more so a contingency-based option. So if something were to arise at an unplanned event, we can get specific munitions to a location that was not planned for ahead of time.
Okay. All right.
Or munitions that have gone bad at a certain location, and a mishap has occurred, and they need to replace, a JDAM kit or something of that nature. We can get those out to them in a quick time frame.
Okay. All right. Excuse me. So again, we always talk in AFLCMC that, our objective is to make sure that the warfighter has what they need when they need it. And that's exactly what you guys are doing.
Yes, sir. So as you alluded to, the theater will have an initial stock of munitions and items that they plan on needing in case of a contingency kickoff. Our role in that is once they have depleted those initial stocks, we're there to help replenish until a third counterpart within AFLCMC, known as the Afloat Pre-Position Fleet, is able to arrive, which they have ginormous ships with just an incredible amount of munitions on them, which will then obviously fulfill their needs for the foreseeable future of the contingency.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about your end users. So really, in terms of TICMS, your primary end user is like the ammo career field itself. Is that correct? Or
Yes, it is.
okay. All right. And so and then they use the system that you guys maintain to know to track what they have, where it can go, all of that kind of information.
Yes, they do. And that is also delegated by our regulations. So we have to have these munitions in this accountable system. The munitions accountable system officer, MESO of the bomb dump, he has to maintain accountability of all of these items. So if the system itself is non-compliant, we put at the entire career field really at risk of being non-compliant with regulations that we are directed to follow.
Yeah. Okay. And for stamps, your end user is really the warfighter, the operational units themselves, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. And you're just making sure that that the warfighters got the bombs they need, the bullets they need, whatever they need, and it's safe and effective and ready to operate.
Correct. We're like a glorified Amazon Prime, if you will.
Okay.
You need it fast, you call us.
There you go. There you go. That's great. So let's talk about for stamps specifically, I guess. What's where do you ship? And I imagine this is anywhere in the world. What kind of volume or can you? I know that there's probably some things that you can't talk about specifically in an open forum like this, and please don't. But what can you tell us about where you ship, and the kind of volume of things that you ship and that kind of stuff? Just give us a sense of the scale of your job.
Okay, so we can ship base main places at airport. So anywhere that's needed, as long as there's a capability for a cargo aircraft to land there and unload, then that's where we can supply. As far as volume, we can't obviously get into the specifics, but we can give an overview. So, Vince, you want to?
Sure. So like Sergeant Salinas had mentioned before, we work directly with the 649th Munitions Squadron. They are the unit that physically builds and ships out these aircraft pallets to the locations that we direct them to. Currently, we have 87 packages that we can send out. Their stockpile or on hand is valued at $871 million worth of assets, so quite a bit. As far as line items in their stockpiles, 191 line items there, so quite a bit. And like Sergeant Salinas said, that's just what we have here. We have plans in place if things kick off, we can rapidly get stuff brought into Hill Air Force Base and continue to support the warfighter at whatever location that may be. We'll ship them in via aircraft, and then the MAGCOMs or COCOMs will can further divvy those out via a truck or throughout their theaters, but we can get them a bulk shipment on whatever airframe we can get our hands on.
Okay. So let's hear about some of the challenges that you guys face, and we'll start with TICMS. What are some of the challenges that you look at?
So like we discussed earlier, we're all ammo troops by trade, right? None of the TICMS cell have specifically formal training like some other career fields would have when it comes down to testing a system or providing customer service in the sense that we do. So when we hire individuals to come into the TICMS cell, right, we put out ads and we kind of request people that have these specialized skills or have experience with that, right? But sometimes you don't get that, right? Somebody doesn't see the ad, or somebody is not eligible that meets that type of requirement. So getting these individuals trained up to the level that we need them to provide support for, right? To be able to accept tickets and to accept tickets on the United States Air Force's behalf from the commercial vendor.
Okay. Yeah. So initial training, because obviously you're experts in ammo and you understand what's needed, but you're operating a database, running a customer service organization, correct?
Yes.
And so that's a unique job.
It's not anything I ever thought I would do. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you like it? Do you like the job? Do you like the mission? Are you fulfilled by it, or?
So personally, I like it. I've been a part of AFLCMC since the go live of TICMS, even though I had a different duty position at that time. I was also obligated to help out with the customer support for TICMS when it first went live. And since then, I've just felt, I guess, personally attached to it, because I did dedicate a lot of time to trying to help people resolve their problems, especially looking at it empathetically. If I were in their position and I was unable to do my job, and I was unable to ensure that, if a fire starts in the bomb dump, am I accurately reporting the hazards to the fire safety personnel coming in? That's a huge thing. And that's something that we also have to make sure is accurate and appropriate. And if I was in that position, I wouldn't want to take that risk. And I would be calling up here every day saying, hey, why is this wrong? Or what can we do to make this better? So I feel good knowing that I can try to make things better, even if it's on a really small scale, for a variety of people.
Okay. And let's talk about stamps. What are some of the challenges that you guys face with stamps?
Sure. Like I said, the high demand, low availability. For allocations, we have to fight for munitions just like everybody else does. getting stuff here on Hill. You know, of course, we want as big a piece of pie as we can get, but we're only allowed to have so much. So getting what we want to have here is can be difficult at times. Manpower shortages at the 649th, getting individuals in there to fill all the manning positions to be able to get these outloads out can be tough for them. Myself and Sergeant Salinas, we're just a two-man crew, and we direct these missions. However, the actual physical aspect is done by the 649th, so we rely heavily on them to do that. So if they aren't fully manned, it puts a damper on how fast we can get these things out.
Right. So you're talking that organization does the actual packing and putting it on the pallet and that kind of thing.
Exactly. We are responsible for the creation, the management of the packages. We task them whenever a mission comes down. We're the ones that say, hey, it's go time. You know, you need to start building X, Y, and Z and get on an airplane. But ultimately, it is them that does the physical builds and puts in the late hours and gets them on aircraft pallets so we can get them to the end user as fast as possible.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that kind of brings us to the end of our time. But before we close out, I just want to give everybody an opportunity. Is there anything that you want to add or anything that you'd like to, that you think that I forgot to ask you about? We'll start with Sergeant Bench.
I think LCMC is a great organization to work for. Like Sergeant Shelly said, I'd never imagined I would be able to do a job like this. If a job didn't pop up on equals that I applied for, I would never be able to use this opportunity to do these kind of things. So I guess I would just say I'm grateful to be able to do this. This is kind of a highlight of my career that I'll probably never be able to do again. So I think that's all I would have to add for that.
Great. And, you know, it's good that you can acknowledge that at a time when you're in it, you know, and kind of recognize that you've got a great position that you're in right now. So Sergeant Sansone, what about you?
I think we're all going to kind of echo the same thing, but to put it in my own words, you know, I'm very happy that my past self did click that ad to come do this position, right? I was kind of starting to get stagnant at Nellis, and I needed a change. This is something that I thought I would be particularly good at. You know, I'm an ammo troop by trade. I like to work with my hands, and this is 100% sitting behind a desk and testing the system software. So if you feel like you're getting too comfortable in a position, you know, try to get out there and try something different.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to do things different. Sergeant Shelly.
I have nothing. They've said everything.
Okay. And Sergeant Salinas.
I'll take this opportunity to act as if I was talking to the ammo force down the world. I think I would just want them to know and understand that there's some pretty incredible individuals that are working up here in the GACP, and they're doing great things, and we really have them in mind. We're trying to make it better for them, and just be patient and understanding, and give us as much information as they can, because the more we know, the better we can help them.
All right. Well, thanks for all of you for joining us today and helping us understand your jobs. It's really important work that you're doing out there, and I'm glad that somebody that's really knowledgeable and really capable like you guys are out there taking care of it. So thanks again for joining us on Leadership Log.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.